I'm just like steamrolling you. I feel
you
like.
go ahead.
So
You're excited. Nope. You're very excited about this episode, this chapter. I'm full. Go for it.
Hey everybody, this is Kat.
And this is Rachel.
And you're listening to the Smut Peddlers podcast, a show for people who love books, especially when they're smut. We discuss our likes, our dislikes, and share all our favorite moments with you.
Today we're talking about Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. So grab your favorite beverage and get ready to burn with us. This is part 2 of Kingdom of Ash. We've been reading in the romantic order. Today we're going to cover chapters 10 through 22.
A little recap from our previous episode. Where in the world are our friends? Aelin is still, unfortunately, in her iron box. However, at the end of the first section, we got a little bit of Aelin spice back, which set my heart on fire. I was very excited.
Haha, get it? Because heart of fire. Keep
going. Aelin gets a dagger from Karen, slashes Karen with it, and then yeets it at Maeve and slices her cheek. And this is when Aelin sees black blood that Maeve wasn't quick enough to convert to red blood. And it has now planted.
She's like, that's just a figment of my imagination. That didn't happen. Yes, it did, Aelin. Yes, it did.
So a little seed, a little Vogue seed is now planted in Aelin's head about Maeve being Vogue, which we know as the reader, and some of our friends know as characters in the book, but not everybody knows. So Aelin, it's fine. Just trust it. Trust it.
Just believe it.
She is Vogue.
You're right.
She's Vogue. You are correct. We are still, like, with Adian and his crew. Lysandra is still pretending to be Aelin. They have to maneuver that kind of, very tactfully. So right now, I think Aelin is kind of off doing something so that Lysandra can be there in her, like, leopard form and be able to shift and, like, help them with stuff. But Aelin is kind of somewhere else doing queenly things and, political things on the other side somewhere else. She does come back every once in a while to, like, make an appearance, but she's never there during, like, fights. And there's no fire anywhere, so, like, no one has questioned
during the wars,
Yes.
She's either Aelin or she's an animal. Mm-hmm. Like, Lysandra herself is barely seen in the wars.
Yes. No one has questioned that Aelin and Lysandra are never in the same place at once.
Mm-hmm.
But that's fine. We're not. It's okay. Our another squad of people, Chaol, Yrene, Nesryn, Sartaq, and kind of the armies they're bringing, they're still on their way to Terresen. I'm still disappointed in Yrene because we found out last episode that she's pregnant. Which, like, of all the characters to have a kid, it makes sense that Yrene would have a kid because she's, like, the most
Yrene's
motherly one.
But also she's the one that makes the most sense to have exhibited some level of self-control and not gotten pregnant during a war.
Yes.
I give you that one.
That's my only gripe. She knows better. Of all the characters, her head is the one that's on straight.
Mama Cat is disappointed in you.
I'm very happy that Yrene and Chaol are going to have a kid. I just wish it could have, maybe give it to me at the end of the book.
Not been
maybe
right
she
now.
becomes pregnant, like, later after we win all the wars and stuff, Like, happy, they could live happily ever after. Give me, like, an epilogue where Chaol and Yrene are happy and they have their house in the mountains and they have a kid on the way and, like, that. I don't know. That would be fantastic. She has a little, like, her own little tower that she works in and has all her little healer apprentices. It'd be so lovely and magical, and I'm very on board with it. Just not going into a war. Then
just later. We're just saying later.
Just later. Then we have Manon, Dorian, and 13. And they are trying to find the Crochans, as we're aware. They have come across the spider who says that she knows exactly where the Crochans are. And Dorian says that he trusts her. We know that the reason he trusts her is because of Damaris, and it kind of warmed when she said she had this information, and he has now warm is true, cold is lie, and so he trusts the spider, and so
He
now
also
they're gonna go to that place.
100% wants to know how the hell she learned how to shapeshift.
Hmm. And then,
which is what I believe is his
yes.
true ulterior motive. I don't think he gives a shit about whether the spider's truthful or not.
Yes. That is a big thing, is he recognized that her shifting ability might be useful to getting into Morath. So he's working on his own little thing in the background. And Manon and all of them are like, he's real quiet. And as we know, quiet Dorian is calculating Dorian. So he's going to be like, he's working on some shit on his own. We don't know about yet. But he wants to get into Morath to get the third key.
Yep. Which he knows is there because...
Yes, because the spider said so.
Gavin? No, because Gavin said so.
Oh,
Brannon?
yeah,
I can't remember who the fuck he was talking to.
Yeah, he summoned... No, Gavin.
No, it was Gavin.
Yeah,
it was Gavin because they were talking about, like, oh, I don't want Elena to die. And Dorian's like, I don't fucking give a shit, okay? Because this you guys did this. Yep. Does she deserve it? Like, a little bit, okay? Just, move on.
Then we have our, A-team. A-team is, let's save Aelin. We have Rowan, Elide, Lorcan, and Gavriel. And they're deciding whether to go south or to Doranel. Doranel is about a 2-week travel. The southern continent would be about 2 days. And so Rowan has pretty much decided. They didn't really have any leads. A lead we know a lead can kind of tell when people are lying. We don't know the reason. She's very good at reading people, but there's no magical tie. We just know a lead is a badass and she can infer a lot of things from people. And
this time she got she was led by, is it Aneth?
Aneth, yeah.
The god that's basically Aneth was like, hey, go over there. Go that way.
Hey, listen
and then everyone was like, we're not trusting that right now.
Yeah. Which is fair.
Yeah, and then she got all pissed off at Lorcan because she took it personally.
Back, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, you just follow a voice in your head. And she's like, and you don't follow the one in yours? When it said, go this way because of whatever.
We've already established Lorcan doesn't have a conscience, okay? So he probably doesn't have a voice in his head. He just
you remember
acts.
She was talking about when he had a voice in his head saying to go into the marshes. Yeah. That one. Where she counters back 100%. Of hey, what about that? So
hey, do you remember that time that you did the same fucking thing that you're telling me not to do? Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. So they have decided to go south. They haven't gone south yet, but pretty much at the end of the last episode, we talked about how that was their decision. They were gonna camp out the night and then start moving south.
Yeah.
We know Aelin is not there. We know Aelin is in Doranel, but fingers crossed.
It's fine. It's gonna be fine.
Everything's gonna be fine. So we have a couple new characters added to our character list. We have Cairn, who is our POS. He is definitely a piece of shit who just is really on board with abusing Aelin. So we don't like him. We have Sol and Ravi, who are 2 lords. They're the lords of Surya, and they are in the Adian group of people. They're traveling with Adian. They are kind of the allies. They came with the Bane and a couple other lords who are on Team Aelin of Aelin and Darrow and where they're going. They're in that group. So they are pretty much following Adian and believe in Aelin as being queen, which is, we love them. We get to be reintroduced to Nox Owen, who was one of the characters when Selena was fighting to be the king's champion, the champion of Otterlin.
Book 1.
Yes, it's been quite some time.
7. So
it's been quite some time since we've talked about Nox, to the point where I didn't even remember who he was. I read the name and went, that seems familiar.
This is my second time reading it, and still I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot this happened. My bad.
So he is a thief. we learn. We knew that kind of in the beginning. This is how he's like brought back in. He's brought in as like a messenger / he introduces himself as a former thief from Peranth. So I really like the fact that he's from Peranth. I think him and Elide are gonna be buddy, and I'm very excited. But he right now is playing as Dara's messenger.
He would be such a good spy for Elide.
I think the two of them together.
Be so great.
Because she can infer so many things and he can just like read people too, and it's just the two of them would crush it. And then we get another name brought up from the Bane, Elgin. He is kind of like was a fatherly figure to Aelin. They pretty much joke about Aelin being like this young, inexperienced guy, and then Aelin always like counters back of like, how does it feel being a grandfather? Because Elgin, his daughter, recently had a kid too, so they have a little banter, but Aelin really sees him as like another father figure who has kind of like brought him up in his childhood, because he was thrown into war at, the age of fucking 14. So there are a couple people that I think really act as like father figures to Aelin that he really like is impressed by and like really respects, and Elgin is one of them. He's part of the Bane.
He has a few, because his own is not one that he wants to emulate.
Well, his own father is like actually good and decent, and we like his own father, but like the person who was like sitting in as dad, we didn't really like so much. So that's all of our characters. I think the big one that comes up as kind of like left field that I forgot about was Nox, but I'm very excited for him to come back, and we learn a little bit more about him, which I very much enjoyed. A little bit of Nox lore getting sprinkled in.
So jumping right into our first chapter, we're in war. War is happening. We're now, Kingdom of Ash is like the war book, because everything up until this point is just, we've gathered all the armies, we've done everything we can, and now basically it's just like, how do we actually fight? How do we fight to like keep our territories? We start with Lysandra's POV. She is just killing everything in sight, saving all the soldiers that are around her that she possibly can. I think in this chapter she's like mostly in ghost leopard form, but she shifts to everything, like to whatever she needs for whatever war scenario she's in. I love seeing her as a wyvern, and I love seeing her as a ghost leopard and just kicking ass. She makes a really great mental note of like, this is a very different life than like what she had when she was like a courtesan, but that she like would not trade it to go back. It's like, this is better, even though it's not great. But
she's
so
in the middle of war, but she still doesn't want to be back to this like.
Still way prefer to be here than what she was doing before.
Her life prior to this was like a very passive side character, and in this she is making change and like doing something, and not just like existing for the benefit of another human being, which is pretty much
she's fighting for something that she really wants. Rather than like doing something to serve somebody else. Yeah,
it's great. We love Lysandra so much.
So happy.
She's the best. So yes, this war is pretty much what we left off with, where they saw about 5,000 Bog soldiers headed towards them. And so they made the decision to kind of cut them off at this like narrow pass that they knew better than hopefully these soldiers knew. Yeah. So we flip over to Aedian's point of view. And in this, we learn that they have won this fight. So, woohoo! Yay. We did it. Unfortunately, we did lose some soldiers. A few were lost from kind of the Lord of Suria's group, about 200. Ren mentioned losing about 150. So total 350 soldiers compared to the 5,000 that they went against. Not terrible numbers, but we do learn that these weren't the best of the best Volg soldiers. These were kind of the grunts. These were like the ones that were sent out to scout, not necessarily sent to fight. There were no Iron Teeth witches. There were no word hounds. There were no other ilkin or other creatures that they've seen in the past that Erewhon has kind of thrown their way. So this really puts specifically Lysandra and Aelin on edge. Like, they don't know kind of what's to come. They obviously have seen some, like, a lot of the horrors that have come out of Morath, but even Ren has seen, because he fought in Otterlin as a rebel. So, like, the three of them together are like, oh, I've seen much worse than what we just fought. And, like, that's terrifying that it took that much to kill, like, the basic of the basic foot soldiers that Erewhon has. So, as they are kind of doing their post-war debrief, Aelin and his kind of, what you called them something, and now I can't think of what it was.
I just called them Aedion's War Council.
Yeah, so Aedion's War Council, which is Aelin, Ren, Sol, and Ravi. So it's like the four lords that are working together. They have kind of like a debrief, and while they're doing
they have
this,
one of the guys from the Bane there too, right?
I think
someone from the Bane is there.
I think Galen Ashriver is there as well. He keeps quiet kind of the whole time. Remember. He's very similar to Dorian, and he just like takes in a lot of information and then like puts a seed in every once in a while, and you're like, what are you doing, sir? Give me more information from that brain of yours. I would like to know what's happening in there.
Yeah. And Aelin is not there. Yes. Lysandra is Aelin. Because they basically were able to like make up something for why she's not with them, which is why Lysandra was fighting. And so like they're just kind of trying to talk amongst themselves about like what to do next.
Yeah. While this is happening, this is when Nox Owen arrives as a messenger from Darrow, and he has a letter for Aelin, and he hands the letter to Aelin with the comment of, Darrow wants you to come to him for a meeting. And Aedion's or I think it's Sol or Ravi, one of them make the comment of like, what's the point of being a messenger if you're just like bringing the letter, if you're just gonna say,
if you're just gonna say what's in the letter.
And he's like, I don't know, I thought the same thing. Which I thought was fantastic.
So good.
So Aelin has this letter. Aelin is kind of questioning Nox a little bit of like, you had to fly here? We just finished fighting like 12 minutes ago. Like, how'd you get here so fast? Nox, of course, is like, I don't know, Darrow sent me with 2 letters a couple days ago. One if you won and one if you lost. You won, so here's the one where you win letter. And of course, Aelin goes, you're a terrible messenger if you're telling me all of this. Like, and what?
This is also like before he introduces himself like as Nox, like before we know that it's Nox. And it is just, I think he does introduce himself though, like as a thief, because they're like, what the, like, why are you the messenger? And he's basically just like, I can get in and out of places, you know? Like, this like,
I'm quiet,
but
blended.
He is a shit messenger, because he's just like, here's the information. I'm like convinced he's read all of it too. Like he's fucking opened them and read them. He knows what's in there.
It even notes that he like knows what's in them, but they're perfectly sealed. Where I'm just like, this man, he's just too good.
He just knows. It's fantastic.
So he does end up introducing himself. Ren recognizes his name and pretty much is like, you're a thief. And he goes, I'm no longer a thief. I am now just a rebel, but I am from Paranth, and I'm daylighting as Darrow's messenger, pretty much. Which is, I don't know.
I found honest work.
I'm loving it.
Leave me alone.
He's like, I'm just doing my part. This is where I fit in, and so I'm fitting in here, pretty much. Yeah, so pretty much this letter is summoning Aelin and all of the soldiers to Darrow.
The Bane and all of them.
For a meeting.
This sucks ass.
Yeah.
This sucks.
So pretty much where they are right now, they're holding a line headed towards the border.
Yeah.
And Darrow is behind that line, headed north towards Terresen and Orinth. Like, Darrow really wants to headed back to Orinth. So he says, we'll travel tomorrow. We're going to take a day of rest. I have a bunch of soldiers who, like, literally are dying. So, like, maybe let's give them some time to, like, recoup a bit. Darrow doesn't want that. This is really a very, like, political move by Darrow. He is trying to, like, pretty much say to Aelin, like, you don't listen to Aelin, you listen to me. I'm in charge. She is not queen. I don't really give a shit what you guys plan to do, but if you're gonna fight for us, you're gonna do what I say. And of course, Aelin, Ren, Sol, and Ravi have all interacted with the Volg and Erewhon before. They've fought against them before, and they know that Erewhon's not gonna fucking wait for the winter to pass to then do something, and so they want to keep pushing forward. So this isn't great for us. On a, like, you know,
it's also just
put ourselves in a good position to, like, win this war ultimately.
Because if they hadn't gotten the letter, they could have just kind of been like, well, we decided to move south because that's what we wanted. That was the next best option, and no one else was around to say no. Pretty much.
They do talk about
Darrow's smarter than that.
Yeah, they do talk about going against Darrow's order, and Ren being the way he is very level-headed, I think, of the group. He pretty much says, even though I agree with you, if we do that, it will be seen as an act of treason.
Mm-hmm.
And so they do make the decision to go to Darrow. And so that's what they do. They travel the next day to Darrow. They do have to go and tell everyone, though, which kind of sucks. And
Yay.
Aelin has told Ren to, like, tell his group that we're gonna move tomorrow. Sol and Ravi have to do the same. Galen, Ash River has to do the same. They kind of spread the word across. Ansel, Silent Assassins, they all are still there with them. So they have to pretty much spread the word through their camp that tomorrow we have to pack up and move to Darrow for a meeting that we don't want to have.
They, like, get all that information out, and then Aedian's basically, like, on his way to go to bed, to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And he runs into Elgin, who is one of the guys in the Bane. They, like, talk and kind of banter about the battle. Like, nah, you guys fought really, like, you fought well for an old man. And, or sorry, like, the Elgin was like, you fought well, like, kid. He's like, well, you fought well for an old man.
Mm-hmm.
And they just had, like, a nice moment being, like, one of the father figures that, like, is around from the Bane. And then he runs into Lysandra, like, immediately after that. And she's like, just so you know, like, I could go and fly to Darrow, like, a lot quicker and tell him to shove it. And he's like, Aedian's like, how did you know, like, what we were talking about in that tent? Like, not knowing the answer. Like, she's a shapeshifter, and also you can't get away with anything. She obviously was, like, a tiny animal and was, like, listening in the whole time or something.
Yeah.
They fight and argue because Aedian's still being a little butt about them making completely sane decisions for the betterment of their kingdom and not telling him about it, I guess.
They discussed too when Aelin should show back up. I think
that was the other part.
Yeah.
They talk about, like, when Aelin is gonna come back, and Aedian is, like, snippy with her about, like, well, you know, you guys make the decision, so, like, you just come back when you want to. And she kind of snaps back at it. It's like, again, like, she's doing this because that's what her queen wanted. But she does, like say back to him, like, I'm not pretending to be, like, the most knowledgeable in terms of what's best for the men. Like, that's why I'm here asking you. And he's just...
Yeah, he pretty much says something along the lines of, like, yeah, missing the battle and then only appearing to bask in the glory of victory. And Lysandra's like, that's why I'm asking you. Like, tell me when the appropriate time to show up is. Like, I don't claim to know how to do this.
I love her response though, because she says, then tell me where and when, and I'll do it. And he says, just as you blindly obeyed our queen, now you'll obey me. And she responds, I obey no man, she snarled. But I'm not fool enough to believe that I know more about armies and soldiers than you do. My pride is not so easily bruised. And Aelin says, and mine is? Yes, bitch! Yes, it is! You're literally having a childlike fit right now! What do you mean? She responds and she says, what I did for her and for this kingdom. Look at these men, your men. Look at the allies we gathered and tell me that if they knew the truth, they would be so eager to fight. Like, she brings up a really good point that, like, I mean, Aelin responds back and is like, the Bane would stay and, like, they'd fight. It's like, those people are people of Terresen. Like, that's very different than, like, the people who came from other countries to support Aelin.
Ansel,
not
like,
necessarily they owe a debt to Aelin. They don't owe a debt to Terresen. So, like, if they just find out that she's not in play anymore or is missing, like, that's not going to be the same. She's right, and Aelin's just...
It also would potentially pivot their mindset of being like, oh, we need to find her. And if we are, like, large armies, we could go against Maeve. And that would then distract...
Which is just not what they want.
Like, Erewhon.
Yeah.
It just isn't... It's not the play. Like, it's not the play to spread out. Like...
It's also way too big of a risk that they would. Like, some of them would just leave.
Yeah. If they don't know if she's alive or dead or what have you, they would then go back to we are going to protect our people. So they're all going back to their tents. Like, pretty much Lysandra and Aelin, like, separate from this argument. Aelin is an asshole and pretty much says,
he says, back. Go slither off somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to punch him right in the fucking throat.
Yeah. However, we get back to Lysandra's point of view, and it's that similar mindset of she is going back to her tent, which is between Sol and Ravi, and they have pretty much accepted her in, like, their camp, and they respect her as, like, a lady. Sol, she mentions of, like, he's not into women, which we learn. And Ravi respects her enough to, like, not be talking to her chest, and they, like, actually talk to her like a human being, which, honestly, when talking to, like, lords, this is the first time she's experiencing lords talking to her on a level of another, like, lady.
With respect?
Yeah. Instead of, as a courtesan, here to do a job for me, kind of thing. Which she also mentions is, like, one of the best parts of, like, being able to come back to this group.
Yeah.
Is they all respect her.
She doesn't get catcalled or anything. Like, no one makes comments when she comes back to her tent or walks around the camp. It's nice. It's sad that this is the first moment that she fucking experiences it, but I'm glad that she gets the respect finally.
Yes. It's wonderful. She stumbles into her tent. She's exhausted.
That, like, they're gonna... Anyone who fucking says shit is just not gonna get saved when the time comes in battle.
True.
So.
They're like, we could have the snow leopard on our side or not on our side.
Or not. I would choose one of those two things. The other one would be a bad choice. Yep. But you're taking your life in your own hands, I guess.
So we flip over to Chaol and Yrene and all of them. And they are pretty much, we are thrown into a meeting. It's Chaol, Sartaq, Nesryn, Yrene, and Hussar all meeting to discuss what Nesryn and Sartaq had scouted. So pretty much they're on a bunch of ships. There are rooks on the ships. And to make sure that the ships don't just, like, blindly run into anything, they
land, like, right into a middle of an army.
Yeah, they take pretty much, like, 2 to 5 rooks at a time, will fly out and, like, check the lands that are adjacent to them, check kind of around to make sure no one's just, like, posted up to run into them. Nesryn and Sartaq, of course, saw something, so they're coming back to the group to say, hey, we're about to meet some danger. When they were flying, they saw 10,000 foot soldiers and 1,000 like cavalry ships, or not, the ships weren't, like 1,000 soldiers deep on cavalry ships as well.
Yeah.
So 11,000 soldiers, 10,000 on foot, 1,000 on these like ships, and that they were headed to Aniel, which is Chaol's homeland, if anyone forgot.
Yep.
He, of course, doesn't immediately pose the question of, is it worth it to save Aniel? They are all kind of not necessarily arguing about it, but figuring out what the best path forward would be. Do we dock somewhere nearby and then go on foot to this location? Or do we go through the Avery? Do we take like a different route? Do we kind of go kind of north and then come back down south? Or like what the plan is? Hussar pretty much says, and this is like the only time they have specifically, Sarah has specifically said that Hussar said in like a kind voice, because usually she's like brunt, but she has like kind of a calmer demeanor knowing that this is Chaol's homeland. She pretty much says, even if we go on foot, it's going to take us 2 weeks to get there, and they're ahead of us. Like, they are ahead of our schedule, so they're going to beat us there.
There
There's
might
no
not
way.
be anything of Aniel left by the time we get there, if we do go.
And then, of course, Sartaq's like, we have a bunch of rooks. Did you forget? We can fly a lot faster than y'all can walk. So, Sartaq pretty much says, like, we can fly to the west side of Aniel, and come in and, like, pretty much get there prior to the soldiers arriving. So then at least we have rooks and soldiers to fight against the army that's showing up. Because Chaol also mentions that Aniel doesn't really have forces. They don't have much to counter an army of 10,000 deep to come take them out.
They debate back and forth. Yrene is the one that's, I would say, the least logical in this situation, because they talk about like whether there is a strategic advantage to saving it or not, and Irene's just like, it's his home, that should be the only reason, and they're like, no. Like, even
Chaol's like,
no,
I love you, thank you, but
I love you, but like, no. Is it home? I don't know. Not really.
He does feel bad. He still has a like heart for his people.
He
like,
cares about the people. I think he cares about all people.
Aniel. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, he doesn't want to see any of them harmed.
So they decide to push through the Farian Gap, which is where they're going to meet a bunch of witches, because we know the witches.
And Aniel is like right near the entrance to the Farian Gap.
Yeah, so it's
have that debate.
Farian Gap, Aniel.
Yeah. The main thing was them trying to decide, like, do they just go around and go to Terresen, or do they go that direction to, like, prevent that other, I don't know, like, exit out of Morath for them to get more troops around? Because if they can hold that, then there's less likelihood that they're getting flanked if they're going into Morath. But it's still a big risk because it's so close to Morath. They can get troops out of Morath and to Aniel fast.
Yeah. Of all of our teams, this group is about to just be in the thick of the, like, Erewhon territory, because Aniel is very strategically placed, surrounded by things that are controlled by Erewhon. So they know what they're doing. Like, they know that this is potentially very detrimental. So in the end, Sartaq had said, I can go and warn them. Chaol has decided, if you give me a rook and a rider, I will go and warn my family. Because he's like, my dad ain't gonna listen to nobody. I could maybe manipulate him to, like, understand what's happening because I could speak his language a little bit. And of course, Irene's like, you're not going without me. So Yrene is going too. So let's just deliver pregnant Yrene to Chaol's dad. Makes sense. Sounds great. Wonderful.
Chaol still doesn't know.
Chaol doesn't know that she's pregnant. We know.
Nobody knows.
Pretty much. So they're gonna head there. The Rooks are gonna be a day or two behind them, showing up.
And then, like, the foot soldiers a week after that.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fine. Dad's gonna be super helpful.
Great. Yeah.
So
that's where we leave that group.
And then we get to go to the happiest place on the planet.
I will say 3 chapters of this section really, like, had me fucking fist pump into the air. This one, and then the 2 with Manon.
Yeah, fair.
So, I'm just, like, steamrolling you. I feel like.
Go ahead. You're excited. Nope, you're very excited about this episode, this chapter. I'm full. Go for it.
So, Aelin.
I will not crush your joy.
Aelin is in her box. She's in her iron box.
I really don't love the fact that we're like, she's in her box.
It's her box. I don't
like it.
We are disassociating. This is a happy place. We're pretending. She's in.
It's like our quiet time.
Okay. When she's in the box, she's technically not being tortured. So, like, the box is safe of the place in this room.
I don't like it's worse.
The box is the better place. She's in her box.
Okay.
She has things happening inside her brain. She's questioning stuff. The little seed, the little Volg seed is growing. She's like, Maeve is Volg. She, like, keeps going through this, like, flash of the black blood replaying in her mind. She's questioning it. And then as she's there, Karen arrives, as he does. He's dragging things with him. There's noises happening.
He's just being a general sack of shit.
Yeah. He tells Fenris to go relieve himself. He then is taking a dagger and, like, running it across the box to, like, taunt her, saying a bunch of things. And while she's laying there, a woman appears, and it's practically a reflection of herself. And it's her mother, and her mother talks to her, which is the greatest thing, because it's
so cute.
Fucking sparks. It ignites Aelin in a way that we needed her to be ignited. Pretty much, she calls her Fireheart. She asks Fireheart, why do you cry? Aelin could not answer. Fireheart. The words were a gentle brush down her cheek. Fireheart, why do you cry? And from far away, deep within her, Aelin whispered toward that ray of memory, because I am lost and I do not know the way. And pretty much, Evelyn Ashriver tells her, you have been very brave. You have been very brave for so very long. But you must be brave a little while longer, my Fireheart. You must be brave a little while longer, and remember, it is the strength of this, and puts a hand on her heart, that matters. No matter where you are, no matter how far, this will lead you home. It is the strength of this that matters, Aelin. The strength of this. You are my daughter. You were born of 2 mighty bloodlines. That strength flows through you, lives in you. You do not yield. And this is where Aelin, just in her head over and over, you do not yield. And as she is thinking this, she starts punching the top of the iron box. And she doesn't know what's happening on the outside, but she hears someone stumble back and, like, something crash on the floor, and then a bunch of shouting for men as she's just, you do not yield, and punching, just hitting it. Her knuckles are bleeding. She's just putting all of her energy into this. Karen then...
She, like, scares the shit out of Karen.
Yeah. Karen is stumbling back, like, get the Gloriana, whatever the fuck.
Just, like, it's the sleeping shit.
Yeah.
He needs to knock her out.
He gets the Gloriella. He's scared shitless. We know that. We don't know what's happening yet. We just know that something is shaking him, the fact that she's hitting this box. When she awoke, chained on the altar, she beheld what she had done to the iron coffin. The top of the lid had been warped. A great hump now protruded, the metal stretched thin, as if it had come so very close to breaking entirely. On a hilltop far away, overlooking a sleeping kingdom, Rowan froze. Him, Lorcan, and Gavriel felt a shift. They felt magic just fucking plow into them, and it was fire magic. So even her in this fucking box, she somehow, chained with iron, an iron mask, in an iron coffin, she still released her magic and sent it towards Rowan and Gavriel and Lorcan and Elide. And they all looked at each other pretty much and was like, we have to fucking go north. Like, that came from the north. So at least our dream team did not go south. They were still, like, on their way to start heading that way. And we've stopped them. Now they know they need to go to Dornell. I screamed. I was so excited. The second I found out the iron box was warped, I went, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be fine.
She's too strong.
She's so much stronger than they give her credit for, and that we've even seen yet. It was as if she was telling Rowan, I am alive, I am alive, I am alive. And he felt it down the mating bond and pretty much threw messages back to her as much as he can. I'm coming for you, pretty much. Like, I will find you. I will save you. I'm coming. Don't, like, just, you need to know that I'm on my way. Ugh.
They decide that they can't just, they're smart. They can't just go busting in there and being like, yeah, because they'll just pick her up and move her.
Mm-hmm.
So they decide that they have to come up with a way to lure Maeve out and away from where she is. Not that we know why yet, because that's where the chapter ends.
The thing that we do get left with, though, is Rowan looks directly at Elide and says, we'll draw out Maeve with a different sort of lure then.
That shit, I literally was like, good, let's go, put her in. Put her in!
I went, okay, we'll just take
She's not
this
just there to
piece
stand
of cheese,
there
like,
and look pretty.
Oh,
I like that, though. I like that Rowan immediately is like, you're up, kid, let's go. Mm-hmm. It's time to go. Doesn't even second guess it.
He doesn't
talk about like whether she's strong enough or not, or think. It's just like, all right, your turn. This is your time to shine.
Lorcan, of course, is not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, but fuck Lorcan. He doesn't get an opinion right now.
Yeah, we're still mad at him.
He doesn't get an opinion. He can have one later, sure. Love that he's worried for her, whatever, but, not right now. She certainly won't be having it.
No, absolutely not.
It will probably, him not wanting her to go will probably make her want to go more, so.
Correct.
His best course of action would really just be like, yeah, you should totally go. She'd be like, fuck you. You had so much enthusiasm about that chapter, and then immediately after that chapter is the other two chapters that you have so much enthusiasm about.
They're
you
so
just had
good.
3 good chapters, all right next to each other.
4, because I'm now realizing
4
that
chapters? The one after
the
that
questioning
is
also good.
Look,
Chapters 12 through 15.
I did a good, because then we ended where we end, and then we're gonna pick up again in the next episode. We're picking up in this episode. We're gonna pick up more in the next episode. It's gonna be great.
So we're back with
how
Manon.
These are breaking down so far.
Yeah. So we've left our A team, which is Team Save Aelin.
Yes.
They have a plan, or they're gonna come up with a plan, but at least they're now pivoting. We're not going south, we're going north, we're going to Dornell. They know that they need to go to Dornell. Yes. They have the 3 smartest people that know Dornell. They're gonna fucking crush shit, and I can't wait.
We're gonna be fine.
So we're switching to
now we're with Team
Manon.
Plan B.
Yes, Plan B.
Plan B.
Manon.
And Dorian. Dorian's their dude.
Yeah, so it's Manon, Dorian, the Spider, the 13. They're all together. The Spider was not lying. They arrive at this Crochen camp. They can see it. They pretty much see the smoke from their fires. They know that they're there. They haven't really like shown themselves yet, but they are there. Her and her 13 are kind of looking over at this. Before they approach, Manon looks at her 13 and says, "No nails or teeth. You're hiding. We are not here to threaten them." What I really liked is Manon didn't know, like, they kind of like sat there for a minute and Manon didn't really know like what to do. She was kind of like, I need to go now. Like, we need to go and talk to them and like do this thing. But she was like very hesitant about doing it. And I think it's Sorrel says in the background, like, "We will follow you whenever you're ready," kind of thing. And I was like, oh, they know that she needed like a little push, but like not enough.
And she tells Dorian, she's like, "You can stay here." And he's like, "Miss the fun? Absolutely not. Let's go."
Like, chop, come on, we're going in.
We all go.
Yeah. They all go into this camp and meet the Crochans.
I like how they do just like walk in and like the line is literally like Manon and the 13 walk in and then like it took mere minutes for the cries of warning to go out. Like, yes. That's how I expected this to go.
Yep. So they meet a dark-haired Crochen woman. And she is like, "The fuck are you doing here?" kind of thing. And Manon was like, "We mean you no harm, fair leader."
Yeah, I also said that they walked in, which is inaccurate because they all flew in
on their wyverns.
Which is like, and they fly in on the wyverns and their hands are all raised as if that was the most threatening part about what the fuck they're doing right now. Like,
it's okay.
You just all flew in and landed with your wife unarmed except for the giant dragon-like beast I'm currently riding. Pay no attention. Totally harmless.
Yeah.
Very chill. I mean, this one is, but that one specifically, not any of the other ones. Really. Oh, God.
So, Manon is introducing herself, pretty much. They know who she is. They know her as the White Demon, pretty much.
If there were a Crochen most wanted list, she would be at the top of the list.
Correct.
So they're very aware of who just came into camp.
Yes. What I like is Dorian puts on his charm. He puts on his like, I'm a prince or I'm a king. He's a king now at this point. But like his royal training and like pretty much sweet talks these women. And
because they're all debating, like, if the rumors about her are true, like, that she actually did, like, break from her grandmother. And they're like, "We don't fucking believe you." And Dorian's like, "Cool, I was there, also pulled her out of the sea. She's not lying." And they're like, "Who the fuck are you?" It's like, "I'm the king. Thanks."
Well, he goes, "I'm Dorian, at your service." And they're like, "The king?" And Dorian winked. "That I am too."
God damn it.
Yep. That's just me.
The head of the coven says, "There is more to be explained, it seems." Yes. Oh, God.
So, the Crochans all kind of, like, shift around. They're like, "We would be fools if we trusted you." And Manon is like, "Okay, like, who's in charge? If you guys don't follow, you're not going to follow me as, like, your technical Crochen queen. Who's in charge?" And they just, like, point. They're like, "Her." And we're like,
"That lady."
Who? And then they fly on their broomsticks because they have broomsticks. And then Manon and them, the 13th, they all follow into, like, the main hearth area. And they're introduced to Glennis, who is an ancient witch that spoke to Manon. And we learn is her great-grandmother. Yay. On her father's side, which is very exciting. The two witches that we were talking to originally are very, like, sassy. And, like, we don't give a shit who Manon is. We don't care. We don't trust you. Glennis, however, does a little bit. And she
sees the, like, red cloak strip that Manon uses to keep her hair tied back, and Glennis says to her, Rhiannon found you then? And Manon just says, she didn't make it out of the cab.
Yeah, she didn't make it out of Morath, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, which is how they find out that she's her grandmother, because Manon responds like, you knew her? She's like, yeah, she's my great-granddaughter, just like I'm yours. I am your great-grandmother.
In this chapter, we learn that at one point, Manon kind of goes off by herself, and no one questions it. The chapter after that, we learn what she did by herself. She went and flew off to the general area of where a bunch of Yellowlegs were patrolling. Just to leave her scent in the air, pretty much. And then flew back to the group. I am unsure how I feel about this. Meanwhile, I put in the notes like she pulled an Aelin / Lorcan. So I'm trying to think in the point of view of like, if Aelin did this, would I be mad at her? If Lorcan did this, would I be mad at him? They pretty much have both done something very similar. Aelin multiple times. Lorcan once.
Yeah, it didn't bother me at all. I was like, it's kind of shitty, but the thing that frustrates me the most is the same way that it would frustrate me with Aelin, is that she doesn't tell anybody she's doing it. I'm not frustrated about her doing it necessarily, because we ain't got the time. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, dude, yeah, no, I get it. I see it. Fair play. It does annoy me that she doesn't tell Dorian, but it is different. Like, it's different than, like, Aelin not telling Rowan. That really pisses me off whenever she doesn't tell Rowan anything, because she has full trust in that man and still leaves shit out. Yeah. But, like, I don't know. I wish... I don't think the 13 would be.
I don't think they would give a shit.
I think that they would not love it, but they wouldn't care. Or, like, they wouldn't actually do anything. Like, it wouldn't change their opinion of her, but they wouldn't necessarily all be like, great, loved that idea. Cool. Yeah. You're a genius. Yeah. So, like, they'd be like, that's kind of shitty, but I get it.
Essentially, Manon baited the Yellowlegs to the Crochans camp.
Yes.
By, like,
so that they have to fight together as a group. And, like, she knows that they'll win. Yes. Because
the 13 is, like, the most well-trained Iron Teeth witches that exist.
There's no shot that they're gonna fucking
lose. The 13 could take on probably all of the Iron
risk
Teeth
of, like, how many they might lose, she's making a calculated risk. And then also just realizes that, like, they're not gonna believe her that she would fight for them unless she physically shows them. Like, they're not gonna march into battle with her to then see in battle if she'll fight for them. Mm-hmm. But they'd be more inclined to do it if she's already done it before and saved some of their people. Yeah. Which is basically what she manufactures happen.
Yes. The one original witch that questioned her at the beginning, who we find out is Manon's cousin, and was, like, practically sister to Rhiannon, so she has a personal vendetta against Manon, believes...
That's definitely not going to come back to bite her in the ass later.
No. She believes Manon manufactured the whole thing, which we learn is true, but...
She's smart.
Manon counters. Glennis pretty much asks Manon, hey, did you bait them here? Manon says no. Meanwhile, Dorian's sitting on the side with his hand on his sword, and it gets ice cold. And Dorian goes, the fuck? He says nothing. He keeps it to himself. He just puts it away. Puts the little knowledge away.
I'll save that nugget for later.
Manon lied. But why? So, we learn all of that. They do fight. I listened to it while I was power washing my driveway, this scene, and I was so hype about it. It was fantastic. the whole fight scene was incredible. This is one of those ones I would say go back and read chapters 13 and 14 if you want to like really get the deep information.
Very cool things to point out about it, just for those of you who haven't read it. The main bit is the fucking organization of the 13 is unparalleled. Like, they just, the yellow legs are still on wyverns. Like, they're not physically outmatched. They are just so completely inadequate compared to how the 13 fight that they stand no fucking chance.
The
like
13
it's
move
like watching
in unison.
It's like watching an actual trained aerial legion versus like some dudes that hopped on some wyverns and were like, cool, let's go kill you. Like, there's no organization whatsoever.
It's an NFL hockey team against a beer league. NHL.
NFL is football.
NHL
football hockey team. That's actually a great analogy. It's like watching an NHL team play and a football team trying to play hockey.
Yeah, I was going to say
playing against each other.
A hockey
Those
team,
don't work.
A real hockey team versus a beer league. Like
a beer league, yeah, 100%.
The beer league kind of knows what's going on. They know the sport. They know how to play the sport.
They get the gist. They're just they can't actually do it.
Yeah. Manon and the 13 are the top of the top when it comes to those that fight. They were bred to fight pretty much, and they fucking crush it.
Yeah. The other bit that I love is this. That's the bit that I love. So we get one decent page, I think, or whatever, of like Dorian's POV during the fight. At one point, he like gets kind of stunned into inaction because he sees someone's head cut off and it rolls in front of him, which is trauma. When he recovers, he has this moment where he like sees the wyvern that's left because the rider has died, and the wyvern is like basically gonna go crash into the camp and cause fucking chaos. And he has this moment where he like doesn't want to kill the wyvern because he thinks about like how sweet and loving Abraxos is, and just is like, he has this moment of like nature versus nurture of, man, if only that wyvern were like had by somebody else who wasn't a yellow legs, maybe it would be like a sweet loving creature like Abraxos is. Mm-hmm. And has like this really sad conflicted feelings about killing the wyvern, which he does end up having to do. But I just thought it was so sweet of like, yeah, I don't love that we have to kill all these freaking wyvern either. Because maybe some of them are like Abraxos, they just don't have a choice.
In the background, Manon is yelling Dorian's name over and over again.
Yep.
Because Dorian is standing still while this just mouth is headed towards him. And a part of his power, which we have not really seen yet, he like becomes fire.
He gets eaten basically, and everyone's like scared for a second, and then he just bursts into flames, which then makes the wyvern like burst into flames and just disintegrate pretty much.
Yeah, around him.
Fucking sick.
So
he's just standing there just engulfed in fire.
Dorian is fire and ice. Now he has fire power in some magical way. He is so strong.
This is the thing, like part of his power is magical manipulation, like 100%. Mm-hmm. I don't actually think that he has fire as his power specifically. I think that he just straight up can manipulate magic. I think ice is what it manifested in at first, and it can just kind of be anything. And it's just gonna keep getting more insane.
There's one part of this fight where he's next to Glennis, and Glennis shoots an arrow at a wyvern, and he like shoots out from his hand like an ice arrow. And the wyvern comes down, and Glennis looks over and says, "My arrow hit first."
I hit it first. That one's mine.
Oh,
and he says, "I wish you were my grandmother." I was like, what the fuck? That's so cute.
It's so good.
They're so adorable.
This whole section is great. So then they win this fight against the Yellow Legs. during the fight, Manon has like pretty much took the lead role as like captain of this army to fight against the Yellowlegs, where she like makes demands and Glennis like says you follow her command now, kind of thing, to
dope.
her Crochans, which is sick. Because Manon pretty much told the Crochans to like take the ground level.
Yeah.
And then it's just the 13 against everyone else.
It was like the goal was that they would take them out of the skies, and then when they land, the Crochans on the ground would like take care of whoever's
whoever remains.
Their wyvern.
And while they were fighting, it would be easier for the like Crochans to shoot arrows towards the wyverns, and for Dorian to use his magic, because there was a discussion where Dorian was like, there's so many, the Crochans like zigzag everywhere because they're on their broomsticks. They're not like on these giant creatures. So they can just kind of like maneuver much quicker than kind of everyone else. And he kept saying like, I'm going to hit someone that I don't mean to hit, like with my power. And then immediately after that, Manon's like, this is too chaotic. Form a line now. Like, get into a better spot. And so they do, and they listen, and they win. I think at the end, like, they lose 2 or 3 Crochans to the fight. But overall, like, death toll wise, like, not the worst. Manon does regret the fact that these 2 Crochans were lost as well, because she also kind of regrets the Yellowlegs having to die because of her ploy too, which is,
I don't.
Oh, I don't either. But like, for her to like question whether this was a good idea.
She has emotions, and we love her for that.
Yes, her solid stone heart is still cracking apart, and she's becoming more loving.
Oh my god, an empathetic human.
Hmm.
But with all the badassery of being a witch.
Yes. So we flip-flop to Dorian, POV, post-fight. And he has the information that Manon has lied about these baiting the Yellowleg clan to them. He also has a fuck ton of questions for the spider, because the spider has shifting magic, and he's trying to figure out how that's possible, how she has this just kernel of magic she can tap into. So he asks her how she accesses it, where is it in her body, which is, she's like, I feel it like right here, and puts her hand on her like abdomen, and like she's like, it's just this kernel and I can tap into it, and he's like, how do you shift, like how do you know what you're shifting into? And she's like, I have to have seen the thing before. I can kind of make it up, but it's like you have to think of the eye color, the hair length, like you have to kind of think of every feature of the thing that you want to become. And so he like funnels his magic into her, and while he's looking at that kernel of magic, he can like see it there locked inside of her. He gets like the Vogue power as well coming off the spider into his magic. He
gets like that flash that she's Vogue.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of like plays it off, doesn't bring it up.
Yes.
But kind of questions like, why is she here? Like, why is she still around? How did she get here?
Yep. Yeah. He has now learned that the spiders are also Vogue, and there are other creatures within the lands that are Vogue that aren't necessarily working for Erewhon. Similar to like the witches are part Vogue, we know. He ends up kind of wrapping around this kernel of magic, and with the other aspects of his magic, pretty much burns the spider alive.
Yeah.
But like holds on to the kernel of magic and protects it, and then like takes it as his own. Which is
so dope.
Fucking wild.
And terrifying.
Yes. So we don't know. It pretty much says that he's like freed the magic. It wanted to be freed. It was asking to like be away from this creature. But it pretty much says that, like, he frees the magic from her. Does it just, like, disappear into the air, or has he now consumed it? It is now his. It lives inside of him now. I also then put, does that mean Falcon is free? Because now the spider's dead. And he was told if he were to kill the spider, he'd get his, like, 20 years back. That spider's dead now.
We don't know if that was true.
Yeah, we don't know if that's true, but that was the information
checked
he was
in
given.
With Falcon in a little bit, so
yeah,
we shall see.
We know he exists, but we haven't really talked about him much. He hasn't really come up in a while. He's still with the group. He's with Chaol and Nesryn and Sartaq and stuff. Yeah. But I just put that note in because I'm hoping that maybe he has his 20 years back for Lysandra's sake. Manon shows back up. He's in his tent. He's killed the spider. He's kind of like, okay, I'm going to go lay down now. He lays down in his tent, which he happens to be sharing with Manon. Manon shows up, starts talking to him, and immediately stops and is like, what the fuck did you do?
He's like, smell weird.
Yeah. He's like, she was an enemy, pretty much. She's a bad guy. She wasn't to be trusted. Manon doesn't really, like, question why he killed her, but is also kind of like, that was quite the shift and didn't have any conversation associated with it, which is weird.
Yeah, I like that during this chapter, the conversation that they have is basically like, they talk about what either of them did, but Dorian's kind of having that internal conversation with himself of like, she did what she had to as the queen in wartime, and he like makes some comment about like she's acting more like a king than he is, and is like making like strategic decisions, and that was basically what she had to do, and he almost like ends up respecting her for it at the end of the conversation more than him being frustrated or annoyed with it, which he sounded like he was when he originally
at the very beginning.
Yeah. They also talk about Dorian basically tells her, like, you need to figure out what they need, because you are like, this was not enough. It's a step in the right direction, but it's not necessarily enough to make them like follow you into battle. You have to figure out what at the end of the day they need from you. And he basically says, like, Glennis seems to be on your side. Like, you should go and talk to Glennis because she's dropped multiple hints of like not being against you and what you're trying to do, but she's gonna know how to realistically manipulate them. Mm-hmm. So, like, you should go talk to her and figure that out. If you already decided you can't waste time by getting them to like you by manipulating this whole attack into happening, like, you have to do this too.
Yeah, I think it was really great that kind of Manon's inner dialogue and conversation to Dorian was like, you know how to play this game. Can you give me advice on how to also play this game? Because Manon's like, I wasn't trained this way. I was trained to kill things. I wasn't trained to get people to trust me. I was trained to just like come in and fuck shit up and then leave. Like, so I don't know what I'm doing here, which I think is great that Dorian is with them.
Yeah.
Not even just
she respects his political savvy.
Yes.
And his ability to like talk his way into getting people to understand why they need him to do what he's trying to do.
Yeah. He does ultimately say, this is something you have to do. Like, I can't manipulate them to follow you, or I can't
if he manipulates
them to follow you any more than
they're really going to be following him rather than following her. Like, it's not something he can do for her.
After they talk, Manon brings up his father and how his father was human, but it was like the Vogue that was like he was fighting against inside of him. So Manon pretty much brings up that little caveat of like, in the end, didn't you say his human form was still there? And of course, Dorian counters with like, if your grandmother came back and said that there was a Volg demon like taking over her consciousness, would you just like blindly forgive her?
Yeah.
And
if someone told you that your grandmother was secretly good, that she hadn't wanted to murder your parents and so many others, that she'd been forced to make you kill your own sister, would you find it so easy to believe, to forgive her? And Manon glances down at her abdomen, at the scar hidden beneath the leathers. She only said, I'm tired of talking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
And of course, this leads to them
They deflect
fucking
with sex.
Yeah.
Constantly.
I'm done talking. Is there something you'd rather do besides talking?
They can have a serious conversation about everything except for their own feelings.
Yeah.
Not even towards each other, just their own feelings in general.
Mm-hmm.
So then they just deflect and have sex instead. It's super healthy.
What I think is nice, they are both trying to get the other one to talk. Because
yeah,
she asks the right questions. She knows what's like weighing on him and trying to get him to talk about it.
And then he pushes back and she's like, oh never mind, just kidding. I didn't see that going that way. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
She's like, let's not talk about me. I wanted to talk about you and your issues.
Yeah.
I don't have any issues. I'm fine.
I'm perfect.
I'm so fine. So yeah. In the morning though, Dorian is KO'd still. He's out cold. Manon's up. And she makes the decision to go and talk to Glennis. And of course, she essentially asks her, how would I be able to get the Crochans as a whole to believe me and to trust me and to consider me their queen? Because right now they don't. They do not consider her queen. And Glennis tells her pretty much a story about how they typically get the Crochans to like come together to fight in a war. And like a long time ago, one of the Crochan queens like created a kernel of like flame, and then that flame got divvied up against the different like houses and hearths, and the heads of those houses pretty much took that flame with them everywhere and kept a hearth like going in the center of their camp or their home, wherever they were. And awesome. The only way that kernel of flame would like reappear to them to say like, hey, I'm here, whether it's, they don't describe how it shows up, but I picture it as like, hey, it's a normal fire and then like a blue spark happens or something. Like something happens to the fire that's different, that pretty much tells each coven or each group, hey, we are needed to assemble together for our queen. Yeah. And the only person that can do that is a true Crochan queen. They can light the royal flame in that hearth. And then once you do it in one hearth, it will transfer to all the others in some witch magic way. We don't know fully, but essentially
and they happen to be heading right to where someone would be able to do that in Yle.
Yes. Manon kind of asks Glennis along the lines of like, hey, we are trying to go this direction to like fight in this war. Would you all come and fight? And Glennis is like, we promised this other group and we are of our word. So we're going to Yle. Bless you.
Thanks.
And then Manon's like, can you be persuaded to not go to Yle? And Glennis is like, nope.
Nope, we're going to Yle.
So
it's fine. They need to go to Yle anyways for the weird flame thing.
Yeah. Plan B team is going to Yle.
Yeah!
That's where we I think we
everything
end with
great
them going to,
has always happened in Yle. Yle's been a place of joy and happiness and greatness.
Yeah,
nothing bad has happened there. constantly throughout this entire series. It's fine.
But it's okay.
Anyways, they'll be fine there.
Essentially, our teams are like sort of coming together. Because Eelway is much closer
they keep getting
to
fucking
Aniel.
close to each other, and then like
they were supposed to go off in like their own places, and now they're all kind of like coming back to this one area that is not overtaken by Erewhon yet. So Eelway, Aniel, the Farian Gap, like all of these places, we're getting strategic players in these places. We're excited. I'm excited. Manon's not thrilled that they're going to go to Eelway because it really is diverting from their plan. I'm sure Dorian is probably
it is further south. It is further south from like where they realistically want to be, but
Eelway is kind of like southern continent.
Like it is. Eelway's all the way at the south, but like Eelway and Aniel, they've got Melisand in between.
Melisand's taken over. Anish is taken over. Aniel is to the north of Morath.
But they're also they're trying to make their way to Aniel, but they're coming from...
Where were they to begin with?
What do you mean? This group?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I think they were in this southern area anyway. Because Stone Marshes is where they did all that shit. I can't remember where
they said they were going to go. Yeah, but I can't remember where they said they found where the witches are right now. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
But then we've also got, like, they're going to be on the coast. Chaol.
Mm-hmm.
Chaol and all of them, and Yrene, they're all coming from the coast because they're coming from the sea. And they have to make their way to Aniel.
Yeah, they're going to go through... Essentially, they're going to kind of go towards Fenharrow.
Yeah.
And drop a bunch of people off land.
That group's not too far from each other.
And then we have our other group who is in or just south of Eldris, where they were fighting.
Yeah.
Which is north of Otterlin.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why they wanted to keep going south to like go up to the border of Otterlin. Yeah. And that's
because basically you're going to have like the rest of their troops are going to come up from the south. Morath is kind of like over to the west.
We are covering all their sides. So like our group is going to the Farian Gap, which would then cut Morath off from Otterlin. Because Aniel is between Otterlin and Morath. Melisand is taken over, so it's Morath and Melisand. Aniel would be our dream team.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have Aelin and all of them who wanted to push down towards Oakwald Forest, who were told, no, you're going to come north instead of holding this border of Otterlin.
So smart.
And then we have the witches from the south pushing up towards Melisand. So moving north.
Yeah.
So they would be in Eelway, which is south of Melisand. So they'd be able to like push that direction. Then we have kind of all sides. And then we have all the people coming from the southern continent too, which would be on that other side.
Yeah.
Our players be playing into the places that they need to be playing. And then we have a team out in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
They're out on their own island.
They're just out there.
Dornell and all that fun stuff.
It's great. They're so fucking far away. I hate it.
It's fine. It'll be fine. It's fine because all the magic is really far away.
Yeah.
It'll be great. All the powerful magic wielders other than Dorian are
very far away.
Really far away.
It's fine. We have Lysandra and we have Dorian. It'll be great. So, next we get to go freaking hang out with... I was just going to say, next we get to go out hang out with what you wrote, which is Darrow's bitch ass, which is correct.
I wrote Adian and the ground.
I dislike this chapter so much because it's just Darrow being a sack of shit for like 10 pages. Like, he's just being annoying and combative, and just anything that they actually want to do, I'm just convinced he's going to say or do the opposite just to piss them off. Because I think right now, I just am not convinced that he's more concerned with protecting everyone, and is just more concerned with, I have to have control.
Yeah, he's like, my dick is larger. Listen to me. And they're like,
tiny penis.
No, Aelin's is.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
So they go. Aelin goes. Lysandra as Aelin goes as well. And they debate whether they're going to move north. The debate is basically for fucking nothing, because it doesn't really matter how they debate, because the 4 people that
aren't actually
Darrow
fighting
included, yeah, the 4 old dudes that are in control of part of this war council, because even as Lysandra were able to show up for the meeting, no one recognizes her as a fucking person that controls a territory. It's like always going to be 4 against 2, because Darrow's got his people, and then everybody else is on Aelin's team. So, and none of the other people who are their allies get a fucking vote. So, like, Galen doesn't get a vote. The Silent Assassins don't get a vote. No, none of them do. So, like, if they're there to be allied with Aelin, then, like, they can either go with the rest of the crew, or they can fuck off, which is basically what Darrow tells them. Like, we're not going to hold you guys to, like, fighting
like, our war or whatever.
Which is, one, fucking stupid to do anyways. Why would you be like, you guys can go? And basically everyone, all of the allies are basically just like, we're not in the habit of breaking our agreements with people just because we disagree with you. We'll stick around and protect your people, you ginormous sack of shit. I hate him. I hate him so much.
Yeah,
he
rough.
Annoys me.
The thing that I liked, so like you were saying, there are 6 lords that vote. Ren is one of them. Yep. Ravi is the other, because Ravi is technically either Ravi or
the ranking member.
Yeah, Ravi.
One of the 2 of them get a vote.
Yeah. So the way Sol and Ravi work is they, in tandem, make decisions for Surya. So they they are brothers, and they like really rely on each other to like make decisions. But ultimately, only one of them is the actual lord of Surya. But the way that they work is they work as a team, which I think is fucking rad. So pretty much they get, the 2 of them together get 1 vote, and they are on Team Aelin, as we discussed earlier. But so it's Ren and the Lord of Surya who have voted to keep pushing south. Yeah. While Darrow and the ones that we don't give a shit about said, we would rather stay in our safety spot that we've been hiding out in for the last 10 years.
Also, the people that, the like allies, when they respond to Darrow and say that they're staying, they refer to Rowan as the consort of their queen, like completely ignoring whether they do or do not recognize her as queen. Just sick.
What I thought was great is like Darrow says this whole like, you don't have to come if like we're not gonna hold you to your word or whatever. And when they respond, they all look at Aelin.
Yeah.
And Darrow's ego is hurt. And there is a like flash of surprise in his face when they direct all of their conversations to Aelin, which I thought
just,
was
completely fucking ignore him. It's great,
fucking fantastic. So Prince Galen, Prince Endymion, which is Rowan's cousin,
Endymion,
one of the names, Rowan's cousin, the Silent Assassins, and Ansel all looked to Aelin and said that they would follow her. Darrow was not a fan of this.
Ansel's response is, I came this far to help you beat that bastard into the dust. I don't see why I'd go home now. This is so good. At the end of all of this, they all agree to stay. And then Nox comes in, says something to Darrow. And Darrow, like, obviously someone is here. to see them. Darrow's like, you can let them in. And this person comes in, walks into the tent. Darrow looks at him and says, you have a message from Eldris. Lysandra smelled the stranger the moment Aelin did. The moment before, the stranger smiled and said Erewhon sends his regards, and unleashed a blast of black wind right at her. Darrow fucking... The thing that frustrates me the most about this fucking chapter is you don't really get a good sense of whether Darrow knew or didn't know that this person was bad. Mm-hmm. This person, like, comes in, fucking attacks Lysandra, playing Aelin, and tries to just straight up kill her. They all freak out. Everyone jumps into action, like, drawing weapons, getting in position, like...
Except for Darrow and the 4 that voted against them actually fighting.
Hide behind a goddamn table. I hate it so much. It made me so angry. Everyone else, as it literally says, closes ranks around its queen. It's fucking dope. Galen blocks the only exit out. They're, like, all standing around. They detect that this person is taken over by a Vogue, but it's got iron. It has an iron heart with wordstone.
So like, similar to the
no
one
collar. They like claim that they had no. They were like, how would we know?
Yeah,
like they couldn't. Aelin brings up too, like, how did you not fucking smell it on them? Like, as they're coming into the camp, like, how did this thing make it in here without anyone noticing that it was a Vogue when Lysandra
especially with
and
all
Aelin
the fae around
immediately
like...
fucking smell it as they walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
I still don't understand.
So to Nox's defense, because Nox is the one that like says, hey, there's a messenger here, pretty much. Right.
But Nox isn't a fae. Nox wouldn't know.
Correct.
It's not on Nox. It's on
Nox
all the other
says,
bitches around.
Like, later, he didn't have a collar or a ring. Like, I looked. I'm aware, like, I know to look because he pretty much fought with the rebels. So, like, he knows what to look for. The only other time that anyone in this group has run across a Vogue that didn't actually have a collar or a ring, the one had a ring, but it was reversed. And that was Duva, where it was, like, plated gold on the outside, but, like, the, whatever was on the inside.
And that was a wedding ring. Like, it was hidden.
And...
disguised.
Then when, what's that piece of shit from Endovir?
Don't know his name, but the Overseer.
The Overseer from Endovir, when Aelin, like, started torturing him to, like, kill him, he didn't have a ring or a collar. It was his heart was, like, iron and...
Yeah. Basically, that's exactly what this
other guy is.
This has, like, an iron heart of wordstone, which is terrifying.
Yeah. Everyone had this guy, like, pinned immediately. Lysandra didn't... She got hit, but not, like, badly, because she did get cut, luckily. So she ducked out of the way, got a slice on her arm.
Unfortunately.
It was pretty narrow.
The Vogue can tell.
Yes.
But it's not Aelin. Realizes that she's a shapeshifter. But before it can say it, she, like, gives the order for like, them to kill it. And Aelin chops its head off, like, immediately, which is great. But they realize that even though it didn't say it out loud, they know that it has, like, a hive mind thing with all the ones back. So they're pretty sure that now Erewhon will know that the Aelin that's in the north is not actually Aelin. Because they've kind of been banking right now on the fact that, like, Maeve isn't going to tell anyone that they have Aelin.
Mm-hmm.
Erewhon isn't going to know because we know that they're not actually working together. And they can just kind of play it off while they go and try to find her.
Yeah.
But that's
Lysandra's kind of playing as the distraction while we get Aelin back. And so we want Erewhon to be looking to the north because that's not where Aelin is. Once we get Aelin back, she's going to be somewhere else. So we want it to be, like, coming from left field. We don't want him to know where she is. So not good. The message that might doom them all. Aelin Galathinius was not here.
Yeah. So they panic, and they basically have to change their plans, because now they're pretty certain that he knows that she's not actually Aelin. Adian and Lysandra decide that they're gonna be like, fuck this, we're not going to Orinth. We're not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And they decide,
get the fuck away from there.
Yes. They basically say Sol and Ravi will take some of their men back to the coast to make sure that we don't encounter any more attacks from the sea. They'll rendezvous with what's left of the Wendland fleet, while Galen and his soldiers stay with us, and will march as an army down to the border. Even though the other lords voted against it, but fuck it. Technically, Adian says, leave that to me. I don't know what the hell that means. I hope he
Ren at some point agrees, in the sense of, like, I've been playing with this, like, line of potentially being, like, playing with treason, so, like, fucking who cares?
Fuck it. Yeah, so Adian says, leave that to me. Don't know what the hell that means, but I don't know. He's gonna do something about it, I guess. I think he should just tell Dara to fuck off and go. Or they just all leave in the middle of the night. After that, we get the best conversation, I think, in this entire section, which is Nox going up and talking to Lysandra while she's playing Aelin.
Yes.
And Nox is like, sup, bitch. I know you're not you. And Lysandra's like, so fucking scared. She's like, huh? What are you talking about? He knows her. Like, I think I mentioned this, like, in the beginning of this episode too, where I was like, the only reason that they're getting away with this, really, is because no one really in this group of people, other than the people that are in on it, know Aelin well enough to be able to catch that Lysandra's not Aelin.
Mm-hmm.
Nox is going to be one of those people, because he basically, like, baits her and is like, oh, you don't remember who I am? Because we spent, like, a lot of time with each other, so you should definitely remember who I am. And she's like, fuck. He basically is just like, I'm not going to tell anybody. Like, I owe my life to Celaena, because we were together when we were fighting to be the king's champion, and she gave me the warning that, like, the champions were getting killed and that I should leave. So he gets out and he goes and he decides, like, I'm going to try to help the best that I can. And at the time, getting close to Darrow was the only really way that he could do that. Now that he knows there's a better option, he's like, I don't actually give a shit about Darrow. Okay?
Yeah, he was working with a different king or lord or something.
Yep.
As a spy, but he was still on the rebel side. Like, he was working with that king as a rebel, and he was a spy. Yeah, it was a different.
There was like a different minister or something that he was working with. Yeah. Which is why he was there in the first place. And he says, it was my first time out of Paranth, my first time, and I wound up unwittingly training alongside my queen, which is so sick.
So cute. I love Nox. I loved Nox in the beginning too. Like, I loved him in that book.
Nox is fantastic. Love it.
Because she saves his life on the, like, side of the building. It's Nox who, Cain was gonna cut his rope or something, and Aelin just fucking, like, jumps at him and grabs him. Or, like, knocks him. And he also says,
the other thing that's fucking sick, because he says this in it, he says, I realized today that the assassin I came to call a friend is actually the queen I believed dead. I think the gods are pointing me in a certain direction, don't you? And Lysandra's like, dope, actually we need your help. Would you help us? Could you be a pal? And he says, I'd say I owe my friend Celaena a favor for her warning at the castle, plus saving my life before that. So they're roping him into the schemes as well, which is so dope.
So Lysandra leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. Then listen carefully.
It was done quietly and without a trace. Every intricate element played out without issue, as if the gods themselves aided them. At dinner, Knox Owen laced the wine he'd personally served as a groveling apology for letting in the Vogue soldier to Lords Darrow, Sloane, Gunner, and Ironwood. Not to kill them, but to send them into a deep, dreamless sleep. The lords didn't stir, and Lysandra, wearing a field mouse's form, then tucked into the shadows behind the queen, and deemed it proof enough. 4 lords' banners also found themselves sleeping dreamily that night, courtesy of the wine that Galen, Ash River, Ilias, Wren, and Ravi had made sure was handed out at their fires. Then, when they all woke the next day, there was only whipping snow beyond their tents, the camp was gone, and the army with it. It's so dope. Just like, here's some wine, guys. Dope. Everybody drink up. And then everybody's so passed out, and then they fucking wake up and they're all gone.
So now we know, oops, Lysandra was fucking like, oh, dope. Hey, I need help getting to, like, the main guys.
Getting a bunch of people
dealing with all of the, talking to all of our group to say we're leaving. So I have to do my part, which is, like, let's get the lords who didn't agree with us to, like, not be able to fight against us leaving.
Yep. It's fucking sick.
I'm fucking hype about this. I'm so hype that...
Yeah, they've all just pieced off. They're like, bye.
They're like, okay, we're gonna play with treason then, I guess.
We have such good chapters, and then we have to deal with this shit.
I like this.
I liked this. I just don't like... don't like Chaol's dad.
So, yeah. So we are Chaol and Yrene. We have arrived at Aniel. Mm-hmm. We are to warn the king of Aniel. Lord of Aniel, king of
Lord
whatever.
of Aniel.
Lord of Aniel.
He's not king.
We are to warn him that danger is coming.
Yep. Dad already fucking knows.
Well, sort of. He alludes to it, but then he's surprised when Chaol actually, like, tells him what's happening.
He's surprised that it's as bad as it is, which I think is hilarious. But he knows enough to be like, I already sent your brother and mom away. Which is Chaol's so bummed because he really would have wanted Yrene to meet his mom more than he has any interest in her meeting his dad.
He also wanted to be able to apologize to them. Because he essentially feels like he abandoned his mother and brother.
Mom didn't
He doesn't give a shit about dad.
Yeah.
So they make it to Aniel. We are in Irene's POV. She is, like, notating that, like, this place is run down. This place is gloomy. There is no art on the walls when they get to the castle. There is, like, literally nothing. Bare bones. And Chaol pretty much says, like, yeah, my dad is of the mindset of, like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So, like, no upgrades. How their castle exists to begin with, after, like, they're in the mountains pretty much. They're like, it is winter. Like,
he also
very,
says
very winter
that, like,
mountains.
He also says later that he would assume that when he sent his brother and his mom away, that he would have sent the trove with too. And she's like, what do you mean trove? He's like, oh no, we have money. We just don't spend our money on any sort of upkeep whatsoever. It stays in the coffers. Such bullshit. They, like, go to dinner or whatever. Or no, they don't even go to dinner. They just
go to his office,
go in,
pretty much.
and they get presented to him at the office. He doesn't stand up. He, like, doesn't even really greet them. He's just, like, a terse dick.
Mm-hmm. So the first thing, he doesn't say hello. He just says, you walk. Last I heard, you could not so much as wiggle your toe. And Chaol goes, it's thanks to this woman who's next to me, my wife, Lady Yrene Towers Westfall. A kernel of surprise lit his father's face. A healer, then? Towers is not a noble house I recognize. The miserable bastard is the next line. Yrene, of course, lifts her chin and responds. It says, "It may not be, my lord, but its lineage is no less proud or worthy. At least she speaks well, better than that other one, the swaggering assassin, who it turns out is Queen of Terresen. What a prize you might have had then, my son, if you'd managed to keep her."
Gross.
Of course, Chaol is like, "Yrene is the finest healer of her generation. Her worth is greater than any crown." And Yrene responds back, "You don't need to bother proving my value to him. I know precisely how talented I am. I don't require his blessing."
So good.
Let's fucking go. Yrene. Pretty much they have this little back and forth. Chaol's dad's an asshole. Chaol says...
his dad is, like, harping on the fact that, like, you've abandoned Aniel twice. And it's like, Aniel is not the bigger picture here, bud. Okay. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit because he only cares about his territory. And it really, I think it's like his pride more than anything else. Of, like, his kid just doesn't want anything to do with his dad. And he just uses the territory itself as a way to, like, guilt him into being like, well, you don't care about the territory. It's like, I would have no problem with the territory if you were not in it.
Yeah, if you didn't exist. So Chaol says, "We came to warn you." His dad says, "Yeah, Morath is on the move. I know this. I've taken the precaution of having your beloved mother and brother removed to the mountains." So we know he's sent off. He knows something's happening. Chaol reiterates that, like, it's not that Morath is on the move. They are headed directly here. They are coming to Aniel. And this surprised his father. Chaol continues, 10,000 troops. They're going to come and sack the city. His father, of course, is like, "You know this without a doubt?" Chaol's like, "Yeah, bitch. I went and saw it. And that's why I'm here. I would literally not be here for any other reason, because I don't give a shit about you." Of course, Chaol starts, like, kind of making demands, which I'm here for. He's like, "You need to evacuate the city. You need to, like, hunker people down. You need to get people into, like, a protective state. You need to, like, arm your forces as much as we, like, the non-existent forces we have. Arm them and get them ready." And of course, Dad is like, "Last I looked, boy, I was still Lord of Aniel. You gladly turned your back on it twice." And we're like, get the fuck over it at this point. We have moved on. Bigger shit is happening. We can deal with that later. Eventually, what I think really convinces his dad is Yrene.
Yeah. His dad says, "Have you come back to bleed for Aniel then? To bleed for the city?" And Yrene has none of it.
Mm-hmm.
She says, don't you talk to him like that. Which his father ignores. Of course. And she says, "I'm the heir apparent to the healer on high of the Torre Chesme. I came at your son's behest back to the lands of my birth to help in this war, along with 200 healers from the Torre itself. Your son spent the last several months forging an alliance with the Khaganate, and now all of the Karagan's armies sail to this continent to save your people. So while you sit here in your miserable keep tossing insults at him, know that he has done what no other could do. If your city survives, it will be because of him, not you." Yes. Chaol tells him to prepare for a siege, and at this point, he says, he's like, they're talking about the history of the city, and Chaol says, "Is that why you didn't kneel to Erewhon?" And his father says, "Or to the puppet king before him." Chaol's like, "Huh? What?
You fucking knew?
You knew?" And his father says, "No, only that he was building a host throughout the land that did not seem natural. I'm no king's lackey, no matter what you may think of me. Of course, in my plans to get you out of harm's way, it It seems it only led you closer to it. And Chaol says, why bother? And his dad says, I meant what I said in Rifthold. Terran is not a warrior, not at heart. I saw what was building in Morath in the Farian Gap and required my eldest son to be here, to pick up the sword should I fall. And now you have returned at the hour when the shadow of Morath has crept around us on all sides. This is when Chaol brings up, every side but one, there are still the mountain men in the Fangs that you could ask for help. Chaol's dad being he like anything that even could slightly dent his pride, he has nothing, will have nothing to do with. So he's like, fuck that, not talking to them. Could they help? Absolutely. But like, I will not negotiate with them. I will not give them any land. I will not do anything that would bring them anywhere close. So they decide to just prepare the best that they can.
Yeah.
Because if his dad won't
what I think
them
so
to help.
One of the like sassy responses is dad pretty much says, I would rather have my head on a pike than give the wild men of the Fangs an inch of Aniel's land, let alone ask them for aid. Yrene responds, I hope your people agree. His father let out one of those joyless laughs. I like you better than the Assassin Queen, I think. Perhaps marrying the rabble will breed some backbone into our bloodline once more. You're exactly as I pictured you to be, she said. His father only inclined his head. Chaol responded, prepare this city, this keep, or you'll deserve everything you bring down upon it.
He still deserves everything he's bringing down upon it.
Yes.
Whether they prepare or not, because he won't just ask the mountain men for help, which is infuriating.
Yeah.
They retire back to their rooms. Their rooms being guest suites, because of course he has to continue to be a piece of shit and doesn't give him rooms for family. He gives them rooms for like fucking like foreign dignitaries, basically.
Meanwhile, Irene's like, I used to sleep under stairs in a closet. So
she
like
doesn't give a shit. He's embarrassed.
Bed? Cool.
Great. And
running water? Like, awesome.
Wow. He's worse than I thought he could be. And he's like, I'm so sorry that he was so mean to you. And she's like, me? This is what you've been dealing with this whole fucking time? I don't give a shit. He's an asshole.
Sorry, I talked to him for 15 minutes. Are
you okay?
Like, I'm fine.
How did you deal with it? Oh, it's so funny.
While they're in their rooms, they're discussing kind of like what their plan is. And Yrene being Yrene, she is a healer. And she knows a war is coming directly to Aniel's doorstep.
Yep.
The Rooks are going to bring whatever they can, but their main goal is not necessarily like healing supplies. So she pretty much like jumps into action. Like she's restless. She's like kind of like pacing, whatever. She's telling Chaol, like, I'm going to see tomorrow if I can gather supplies. I'm going to ask kind of around for like if anyone has any tinctures, if there are any healers, if there's any like magic healers too, and then I can teach them exactly how to heal against these things.
Great.
So she's like, I'm gonna see if there's healers tomorrow, like that's gonna be my goal. And Chaol, of course, is like, you wonderful, beautiful woman. Thank you so much. You're fantastic.
Has the thought of like she is more like a lady than any like noble born lady he's ever seen. Like, oh, in the back of my mind when I first read that, I was like, also like Aelin a little bit, but like she's more of a badass assassin-y person than a like well born lady whatever. But sure, Chaol, I won't hold that one against you.
Fair.
He's not wrong though. Like if you had to pick someone who was the epitome of being like a, I don't know, well-born lady, I wouldn't necessarily think Aelin were in the category, but she's sure as shit a badass queen. Mm-hmm. So it balances out.
Chaol and Yrene also talk about like how the town will evacuate.
Yeah.
Since they are correct, they are surrounded on all sides except for one, which is the White Fangs Mountains. Chaol alludes to that there are, like, secret passages, sort of, that go through the mountains. Like, kind of under the mountains. Tunnels, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
And so he pretty much, they'll stand a better chance going through the fangs. And if we send kind of the oldest soldiers who know how to navigate that area with them, they'll have even a better chance because they'll have at least, like, a captain to follow who knows how to survive in the wild, hopefully. So that's kind of Chaol's goal, is to, like, get the people who want to evacuate out, and they can go through kind of the mountains to get to safety. Yep. Hopefully. Away from Mora and all of the badness that is coming.
Yeah.
The next day, all of our rooks arrive and scare the shit out of everyone.
It's great.
This part I hated. I hated reading it. I didn't like it. I love the rooks, okay? But this felt very foreboding. This felt very planted, Sarah. It felt very planted, okay?
Yeah. It's one of those moments where you read it and you're like, I don't want it to come back later. I don't want this to come back later and be like, oh, that's what she meant when she wrote.
I wrote
all this shit.
The rooks landed near a lake, where tons of foreshadowing was described about a dam breaking and flooding everything.
Even the mighty birds might be swept away in the tide of battle. Oh, will they? Oh, that's a cool tidbit that I'm not gonna stress out about, and I'll lose sleep over anything. It's fine.
So we get this little bit
you
of
wrote,
like,
don't you dare have the fucking damage take out these birds, I swear.
I wrote, Sarah, I don't fucking like this sentence. You better not damage this dam.
You better stop.
You better stop.
I can't.
These birds.
Yeah, she does this. She stresses me out.
We are not killing. So, maybe. So
it's great
maybe
because
it's
you get like
the
brief second of joy, and then immediately like, wait,
foreboding.
Huh? Hold on.
The rooks are
Can
here.
Can we just be happy for like 2 seconds, please?
They're
before
gonna
we
camp
have
in
to
this
panic
spot.
about something new.
I'm gonna go. I am living on the land of make believe, where I'm gonna say this is foreshadowing for later, in the sense that like bad people are gonna come and attack this one little spot where the rooks are, because they're gonna be like, if we take out the rooks, then like they have nobody, and then Sartaq and Nesryn are gonna be like, let's break the dam,
fly away. Yeah,
the rooks are gonna fly away. Yep. Nesryn's gonna be like, break the dam, and he's gonna break, and then we're just gonna wash away all the badness.
Just wash it clean. Wash it clean.
That's the island of make believe I'm going to live on. I'm not gonna live on the land, the island where this thing's gonna break and flood, where the rook army has put their camp and all of their supplies, and then ruin everything. So make believe we're gonna pretend
it'll be fine.
Nothing bad is gonna happen. I'm gonna be really sad if our 1,000 rooks, which is our only line of defense against witches, other than the 13.
Fine. We're not gonna find out this episode because that's all. That's all we read about for Chaol and team.
Now we just end with this foreboding of a potential dam breaking and wiping out all of our rooks, to go hang out with Aelin, who
this mind is being fucking chapter is sick. I love this chapter so much. I know. It's a weird one. So the chapter starts out basically like it's a conversation between Aelin and Maeve. And it's like Aelin is like happy and like relaxed, and she's having a conversation with Maeve, and she's like
sitting in the forest.
She like calls her aunt and is like, do you want to hear a story about a queen who walked through worlds? And Aelin's like, yeah, this like sounds sure, I guess. Like Maeve has to convince her that like she should listen to the story. She's acting like a petulant princess who's not had to worry about anything her whole life. And as the story like goes on, you realize that what's happening is she's having this dream that's being manipulated by Maeve, and Maeve is telling Aelin the story of herself, how she married
came to be
Erewhon, how she like met these 3 princes. She basically like decided which one to marry, married one of them, and then like he was like a warmonger and was like taking over all of these worlds, and she picked Erewhon because he had all
she
these
picked
books.
The oldest.
Or sorry, did she not pick Erewhon?
No, she married the oldest, which was someone with an O that I can't remember his name.
It's not Orin. I can't remember. She picks one of the brothers or the princes to marry, and she picks that one because he had this library, and she, in like looking through all of the books and stuff, she finds stories about like a land full of color and all of these plants, and wherever they're from she describes as like not knowing what the color green was, and like not having heard of all of these like luscious beautiful environments that like we would know as Terresen and these other places, and then learned about through these books about a magic that like could make people walk through worlds. She like tracked down someone who used to be able to do it or had knowledge about it, and they refused to teach her. So she taught herself. And it's this story of how Maeve got from where she was to where she is now. And then it like turns a little bit, and it starts to be like, oh, if only this queen had these 3 like keys. Like the princess tracked her down and found her, but she had to find these keys to be able to send them back and make sure they could never come back. Like, if you were in this situation, where would you hide these keys? Like, where would you find them? And Aelin's like,
she like is then, about literally to tell her,
can't
but then like
speak.
Yeah, something is like
can't speak,
stopping her,
and she doesn't really know why. And then she starts to realize, she's like, why am I here? And like in this dream, like Rowan is someone that like Maeve introduced her to, and like they immediately knew and fell in love, and like Rowan shows up at one point, and she's like starting to realize and get very confused as to like what the fuck was going on. She like thinks about chains, and then is like, no, I've never been in chains, like why would I ever think that, or why would that pop into my head?
And then she looks down at her wrists. Yeah.
It's like that. It's like the moment when like you're having a dream and you start to realize it's a dream right before you wake up. And she's like, Maeve is just using her freaking mind magic to like manipulate Aelin into thinking, using this story to like try to convince her to tell her where the keys are, which is fucking terrifying. It's worse than torturing her, because she could possibly unwittingly do it and just not know. And how do you protect yourself against that? It's terrifying.
So Aelin realizes that this is all an illusion while she's in it, and says no to Maeve when she's asking where these keys are or where you think these are. She just keeps repeating no. And Maeve, with just a smile on her face, she pretty much was like, that's disappointing. And then Rowan is in his hawk form, and she just reaches over and breaks Rowan's neck, snapping the mating bond within her. So, and she plays into her mind that she's feeling the mating bond being snapped. We learn that it's not snapped. At least I'm going to go with it's not snapped.
She wakes up and she says, not real. That had not been real. Rowan was alive. He was alive.
Yeah.
Her, like, arm has broken. She's, like, actually on the altar. She's not shackled, and she's just, like, broken and battered, basically. And Maeve is just standing over her being like, you liked that one? Didn't work, but, like, we'll try again later.
Well, the thing is, she's on the altar with a broken arm, and she looks down at her wrist again and noticed that there's no shackle scars in this one either. So it's likely another fake world. So we have fake world number 1, which is like this beautiful place. And then we pivot to, okay, fine. The like peaceful thing's not working. We're going to go torture now. So now you're having a dream that you're dying on an altar with broken limbs. And like you feel all of this pain and the pressure building up inside of you. Yeah, that is scary. So she manipulates her brain in like a positive way to try to get her to talk, manipulates her brain in like a not positive way to get her to talk. She doesn't talk. She knows better. She's now aware of what's happening.
Even in her subconscious, she fucking knows to keep her mouth shut.
Yes.
Thanks, Arabin.
Yeah, we get another subconscious thought of like, you do not yield, which is just the conscience, like, perpetual statement in her head. Maeve is trying to convince Aelin that she wants a like great world, exactly what Aelin wants. She wants a peaceful, great world. She's like, I just want to live here. I don't want to do anything bad. Let's get rid of all the bad, and like I'll just like go back to my peaceful place in Dorian, and like
I'll go over here and you can go over there and we don't have to bother each other. It'll be fine.
I just want to be here.
Bullshit.
Yeah. Aelin's like, no, not great. At Maeve, this point, Maeve has...
Yeah, she also taunts her because Aelin didn't realize it until Maeve said it, but like she's been in a lot of pain because the magic in her blood is... She hasn't been able to use her magic, and it's like building up and building up. And it's getting painful. So.
Yeah. And we learned as she built up her power, she had to kind of release it in little bits so that she wouldn't burn out. Like, you can burn out from using your power, like all of your power, or too much of it.
Not using
kind
it
of like, not great. The only thing that like I kind of questioned about that is like all these people went 10 years without power.
But it was when there was no magic at all. It's like it couldn't build up if it wasn't there.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I feel like it still had to be there a little bit.
It wasn't, though. Like, Aelin couldn't none of them could. Yeah. And, like, Rowan couldn't use his magic either when he crossed over. Like, it just wasn't a thing. True. And they felt weaker, too. Like, there wasn't the magic in them. Which is why I don't think it was, like... It wouldn't have been a problem. Because you can't build up what's, like, not there.
True. Maeve, then, of course, in typical Maeve or, bad guy fashion, announces her next plan, which is to go...
We got a monologue.
And get a collar. I heard that there was a Volg soldier, a Volg prince, that was detained by somebody in my lands, and there's a collar up for grabs. And I'm going to get that collar. I'm going to manipulate it so that you're not going to be working for Erewhon. You're going to be working for me. In this, she also is alluding to her being a fucking Volg to Aelin directly, but that's fine. Maeve is going to take this collar, put it on Aelin, and then she's going to be able to control Aelin. However, we don't know if that's even possible. We know Maeve is a Volg, so like maybe it is possible she can convince the Volg in the thing that he now needs to work for her instead of Erewhon. Who fucking knows how that actually works? We're not there yet. She did convince all the spiders to like go against their king to like support her as the queen and leave with her, so who knows. At that point, Maeve leaves. We are now back in like the real world. The illusions are all gone, and she looks over at Fenris, who was there the whole time, and he does his like 4 blink. Well, he first blinks and asks, "Are you all right?" She says no, and he just responds with the "I am here, I am with you" over and over again until she falls asleep, pretty much. She then wakes up again, and Cairn's back, our favorite human being. He just is like, Maeve wants you moved to a place that's more secure while she's gone doing this task. And Fenris is going to go with them because Cairn can't possibly not torture both of them at the same time. Which I'm grateful for because at least Fenris is with her.
I'm okay with it.
I'm not happy that Fenris is also being tortured by watching his friend be tortured.
It is the way that they torture Fenris.
Yes. That is his punishment. But I'm also like...
Yeah.
I don't like that he's being punished. However, I do like that Aelin's not by herself.
Yes.
I think seeing Fenris suffer is also a punishment to her. So it's like she's getting tortured and then also watching her friend. I still think it's
more of a positive than a negative.
Yes, I agree.
Or maybe it's just that they turn it into a positive rather than a negative.
Yeah, neither of them are going to yield. Fenris is still fighting back as much as he can. Mm-hmm. But there's really not much he can do.
Don't worry. Get Aelin back. Team Aelin back are on their way. They've made it, actually. They are now in Doranel.
They're on the,
we do, because, to be completely honest, when I read this the first time, I had a full-blown fucking panic attack about the Wordstone Collar conversation. I was so scared. And then literally the next chapter, it's like, that's what the plan was. The plan was for Elide to go around spreading rumors that there was a Wordstone Collar. And I was like, thank fuck. Oh my god.
Elide did what Elide knows best. Also, she went in.
This chapter genuinely makes me laugh. Because she goes in. This chapter makes me laugh so hard. She goes in. She spreads all these rumors about the Wordstone Collars and the Vogue Prince. And then she also gets sent in to try to get more information about, where they are, or whatever, to try to find her. And Rowan and Lorcan have, a whole argument about it, because Rowan proposes the plan, and Lorcan's absolutely fucking not. He gets no vote. They do it anyways.
Yeah. Elide's you have no say.
I'm doing it no matter what. I don't care what you say.
She says something along the lines of you're not in my court or something like that. Maeve doesn't know me, or barely does. No one here would recognize me, especially if I can adjust my appearance like I did with spreading those lies about the Vogue Prince. I could try to get into the city tomorrow and see if there's anything to learn. No, Lorcan's reply was a knife in the dark. Elide said to him, cool and unfazed, "You're not my commander. You're not in my court." She turned to Rowan, but he was. He outranked her. Rowan tried not to recoil. Aelin had laid this upon him. Lorcan hissed, "She doesn't know the city layout, doesn't know how to handle the guards." "Then we teach her," Gavriel cut in. I was like, yes, Gavriel!
It's so fucking good.
It's everyone.
Their plan is basically to just send Elide into the city to ask about Cairn and try to find him. And Lorcan is pissed. And Rowan's response to her is, "Good hunting, lady."
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
So Gavriel at some point points out an area for them to camp. So they're on a cliff edge. Where they were spreading all these rumors are outside of Doranel. So Wendlin, they went around in all of the surrounding areas of Doranel and spread this rumor that someone in Wendlin has a Vogue Prince. And so Maeve is leaving to go there. Maeve is not going to be in Doranel. She'll be elsewhere, which is key to this, key to our success. However, they choose to go to this little spot to camp, which is just down from the cliff that they're on. And as they move down, Elide's eyes widen and her scent shifts to terror. And Rowan is what do you... And Lorcan notices it, obviously. He runs over to "Are you okay? What do you... And then looks out. And when you're on the cliff, Maeve has pretty much created this illusion that there's just this beautiful town here and this beautiful city, and it is peaceful and nothing bad is going to happen, or nothing is here that you need to be armed or worried about. The second you go down, the illusion disappears and you see an entire army just surrounding Doranel on all sides. So now they have to come up with a plan of how to get the fuck into the city, because they don't know if that is because Aelin is there. They don't know if that is because she has some idea that they are arriving, if they're anticipating some kind of push, if this is just an act to protect against Erewhon. Like, our dream team has no idea what's
terrifying, no
why
matter
they
what.
exist. So it's gonna be great. Gavriel suggests allies in the city, and Lorcan and Rowan both kind of make the point of like, even Rowan's uncle, who helped but like came back to Doranel, could want to get back into like Maeve's good graces and would just turn them in. Like, they don't know if anyone would just turn them in just to like be protected again under Maeve. So they pretty much are like, we talk to nobody, no allies, it's just us, like core team. And then that's where we end. The plan, Elide is going to go in and infiltrate. And the goal for Elide is to ask about Cairn and where he is, because he left her high and dry.
That's my favorite part. It is my favorite part that they decide we'll send her in to ask about Cairn. As if she is this adorable small woman looking for Cairn. For what reason?
She says, I'm going to ask after Cairn. Surely a young mortal woman is allowed to inquire about a fey male who jilted her.
I don't.
Let's go.
I think that it's gonna be hilarious though that every soldier or person that she talks to is gonna be like, "What?
Are you sure?
Are you sure you're talking about the right person?" I don't know about this.
So, pretty much everybody is about to do something terrible. Everyone's about to come into something terrible.
This is a lot of setup.
Including Lysandra, which is our final chapter in this section.
Our last chapter. Mm-hmm.
Lysandra was sent ahead of the group. So we know our team has left. Like, they are kind of pushing south. They're trying to keep going south, keep hold the line, pushing against Morath. Like, we're not going back to Orin. We are going towards Morath. We're going to like keep our land safe. So Lysandra is in bird form, and she is scouting out across the foothills of Terresen and realizes that all of the villages there, all of the residents, like, nobody's there. It is empty. She is hoping, of course, the last time she saw it, it was like a thriving city. Well, sort of thriving. They were still under the rule, sort of the King of Otterland, but at that point, they were living their lives in Terresen, at least. She is hoping that Darrow moved them all to Orinth, potentially, like gave them refuge in another location. North.
Because Darrow's such a good dude.
He has been protecting Terresen.
He cares about the people of Terresen. Yeah, sure.
He doesn't give a shit about anybody else.
Yeah, I know. It's the worst.
As she's flying further south, she notices soldiers pushing north. And she was taught by the Bane and everybody, Ren, how to count soldiers. And so she counts 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50. And then she counts again. She's like, that can't be possibly correct.
Because she lost count. Like, no, Lysandra, please.
And so she gets, she lost count. And then she recounts. So there are 50,000 troops, foot soldiers, pushing from Otterland, overseen by Ilkin in the sky, and 5 Volg princes commanding the legion.
They have 25,000, in case anyone didn't remember.
25,000. Oh, like, yeah. Adian's group.
We have 25,000.
Yeah. Team
they have
Good
50,000 and 5 Volk princes, who are basically like at least another 100 dudes each.
Yeah.
Yeah, just on their own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. She sweeps back to, like, double check.
She fucking books
her
it.
numbers. And one Ilkin notices a bird flying around and is like, huh? And starts flying towards her. So she said, fuck this shit, I'm out. Flies back to the group. She's like, flapping her wings as quick as she could possibly go. She's done. The next
like
scene,
literally within, like, it's got to be within hours. The 2 armies are fighting.
We get no, like, in between. It's just, we get the line of Lysandra banked hard and swept back north, wings beating like hell. Page break. The 2 armies met in the snow-covered fields of southern Terresen. Literally the next sentence. The 2 armies collide. So we have our 50,000 deep, 50,000 plus deep. They don't have the 13 with them to fight against the Ilkin. They don't have the rooks to fight against the Ilkin. They don't have any flying creature to fight against the Ilkin. Except for Lysandra, who, of course, dons her wyvern form and starts swinging her spiky tail, poison spiky tail, and knocking Ilkin out of the sky. 2 full days they fight, and they keep getting pushed back further and further from their original line. They couldn't kill Moreth's army fast enough. There is an internal note from someone who we don't know that someone noticed that there was no fire and that Aelin was by Adian's side. And then next thing, no one noticed, as Aelin was no longer there, a wyvern in her place slashing through the Ilkin. 2 days, and still, Moreth's army did not stop coming, pushing them north more and more. This is terrible. Bad things are happening.
Do you know how we've talked about, like, there's the Sarah J. Maas final 200 pages?
Mm-hmm. Final 100 pages.
This entire book is the final 200 pages. It's
this whole book is
it's this end. It's that roller coaster of, like, you go up and you come down and you go up and you come down. It's the entire book. It's so good. But also, oh my god, my anxiety is high constantly.
Yes.
This is where I've chosen to end for this episode because I am the one breaking these chapters down.
If you're reading along with us, part 3 will be chapters 23 to 35.
Yeah.
Probably. We'll likely do that full section.
Probably, because sometimes we change our mind depending on how long it takes for these episodes to record. Sometimes we change our mind.
Yeah, I probably will. These episodes around 2 hours.
We're definitely going to go. We're definitely going to go to chapter 35 next time. We will record a longer episode for the break point that I have chosen if we have to.
I'm terrified. I'm scared. I'm at the very beginning of this section. I was hyped. We had Dorian making moves. We had the witches making moves.
I really baited the shit.
Aelin making moves. Aelin somehow had power that she released, even while she was in her iron death trap.
We were going up, and now we come back down.
And we're gonna fight when we get back. I'm assuming. We had 2 fights happen in this section. Next section, we're gonna tee up probably Chaol and Yrene and Annielle fight.
Yeah, so we've got In theory.
3 different fights.
The only people that aren't actively going for a fight right this second are Team Get Aelin Back. Yeah. But that's just because they're still doing recon.
Well, the witches aren't currently fighting. They fought a thing they staged. Well, Manon staged. A staged fight.
And now they're going to Ilwe.
Yeah.
To do something. Well, they're going to Ilwe to fight, because they said that they were going to go help another group of people. I don't know who they're helping.
Yeah, they didn't... Another Crochan, group is in Ilwe currently. And the one that is moving that direction that they found was headed to them to aid them, but we don't know why. There was no information as to, what was happening that they needed aid.
Required aid.
Yeah. We just know witches and Dorian are headed to Ilwe. So, this is gonna be so great. It's gonna be wonderful. I'm not scared at all for anything that's to come.
It's gonna be fine. What chapter did I say? 35?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we'll end on a high. Probably not.
I say nothing. I will neither confirm nor deny where we are going emotionally on this next journey. Thank you guys for checking out this episode, and we hope that you enjoyed your time here with us. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at the Smut Peddlers for additional content.
Goodbye!
Bye!